for the last several months of what we see at many of whether they're towers or en route centers or TRACONs, the fact that we have old equipment, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s equipment that the great air traffic controllers use to keep people safe when they fly in and out of airports. But it is old equipment. There's equipment that's broken that they don't have access to because it doesn't work. We're in Southern California, so you deal with the sun in California. They actually have shades in the tower that they should be able to deploy electronically. They don't work. They had to actually jimmy rig the shades on strings so they can deal with the hot days in Southern California shining in their faces as they're trying to control traffic. This tower actually had a substantial leak that wasn't fixed, and they actually had to put buckets to grab the water so the water didn't damage their air traffic control equipment. This is what we're seeing in America across the country, and it is long overdue that we actually put the money, put the resources into fixing our air traffic control system. I was just in Paris for a couple of days where industry converges to the Paris Air Show. And a lot of American companies, a lot of great technology. But I was looking at one technology, a common automation platform, that would allow air traffic controllers to increase their capacity by 30 to 40%, meaning they're going to be less stressed. But in a really busy airport, the busiest single runway airport in the country, they have the capacity to control more airplanes. This is the kind of equipment and technology we have access to. So right now, little status update. In the big beautiful bill, there's $12.5 billion that's going to be deployed for an upgrade of telecom. What does that mean? It means we're going to move from copper wires to fiber, which, by the way, the FAA is one of the last organizations in the world that still uses copper. We're going to get new radios, and we're going to get new voice switches as part of that money. We're using 1970s radar. In that money, we get new radar as well. And we're going to have money to upgrade some of the towers, not all of them, and have a new en route facility that's going to be funded. So the big beautiful bill is the one pathway we have right now that's going to start the funding, start the process, start the building, start the fixing of this old antiquated system. Now, that's not going to be enough. We are going to need a lot more money, but this is the one vehicle we have to start the build right now. And so I hope the Congress does its work. Frankly, I hope the Congress finds more money. There's a lot of money being spent in a lot of places. They have the ability to find extra resources and to put it into this mission. This is the most important infrastructure bill that we have in this country. This is the most important infrastructure project we've done in decades, and it needs to be fully funded. And so I'm here making sure we can highlight actually the equipment that's being used. And I think so many Americans, as they fly, which, by the way, it's safe because they have multiple redundancies. The pilots and the airplanes have multiple redundancies, so it's safe. But we should not be using this equipment. And we're at a place and a time where you've never had the American people, all of industry. We have 65 organizations that usually don't agree on a lot of things, 65 organizations that have all agreed that this has to be done. We have the Congress, we have the DOT Secretary, we have the FAA. You have never seen more alignment to actually fix a system that hasn't been paid attention to. It hasn't been the focus. And I'm going back to the American people. I think they would expect that their Congress and their government would make sure that this would never happen. This should never happen. We shouldn't be in this situation as jets are flying over. But we're not going to let that be our story any longer. We're going to actually fix it. We're going to get the resources for it, and we're all going to work together to do it. It's not hard. It's going to take some money, take some trust, and take some faith. But I'm telling you what, in San Diego, in so many other cities around this country, our controllers shouldn't be controlling air traffic. The lives of your families, yourselves, our communities, our neighbors, they should not be using this equipment. I think Americans expect much better than what we're using here today, and so we are leaning in hard. I hope the Congress leans in hard. By the way, the president, the side note of the president loves airplanes. He loves air traffic. The president could not be more supportive of what's happening with the resources to fix air traffic control in the country. And so we're here to highlight what you use in San Diego and make the commitment that we're going to get the resources to actually fix not just the tower, but the hardware and software that these controllers use to keep all of you safe who fly out of this airport. And so with that, I want to turn it over to Frank McIntosh for comments on what he saw, and he's our direct voice from the FAA. I'm going to step over here.
Thank you for being here today, and it's an absolute pleasure getting to spend time with the controllers and the technicians who opened up to Secretary Duffy on the things they need to be successful as professionals in providing safety to the American public. I'm here today because I want to fully express my gratitude and my support for Secretary Duffy's bold and necessary action to bring the FAA air traffic control system to this century and to new technologies that are going to make us better at being the gold standard in providing safety and efficiency to the people of this nation. As a former air traffic controller and as a former air traffic manager of a building very similar to this, I know firsthand how critical it is for our nation's controllers to have reliable and resilient equipment at their disposal. They want to do the very best possible job for everyone flying, and giving them the latest and updated technology to do that job is paramount for our future. Every day, they're entrusted with over 1 million passengers. They deserve the very best equipment that we can give them. This major infrastructure project is not just important, it's urgent. Every day our technicians work on 74,000 pieces of equipment. That's 74,000 pieces of equipment that make the air traffic system go. And it's antiquated. As Secretary Duffy just mentioned, we have brilliant people coming up with adaptive solutions to making sure that the technology works. But again, they deserve better. There's also a broad coalition behind this, with strong bipartisan support from members of Congress and support from our labor unions, from the air traffic controllers and the technicians and people in industry. Our stakeholders all are behind this new infrastructure bill that Secretary Duffy is not just advocating, but is 100% enthusiastic about getting this for the controllers in that building as well as the rest of the country. This is a critical need for us. The challenges facing our nation's air traffic control system didn't just arise overnight, but they're here today. They're here in this fine facility at Core 30 Airport of San Diego, where we stopped providing support to some of the most important technology we have in there where it's in need of a definite enhancement, such as our STAR system. Our STAR system that provides an important connection from the TRACON to the tower hasn't seen a major enhancement since January of 2021. Last month, Secretary Duffy launched a comprehensive plan to replace our aging air traffic control system. This plan calls for upgrading our radar, our hardware, our telecommunications, and replacing them with cutting-edge fiber technology. San Diego and every facility in the NAS will greatly benefit from this technology. But more importantly, the American people will. While air travel remains the safest mode of transportation, we will face increasing delays if our equipment infrastructure is not replaced immediately. And we have a great opportunity under Secretary Duffy's leadership to get this fixed and make sure that the FAA remains the gold standard of air navigation service providers. Secretary Duffy, thank you for the opportunity to join you on this tour, to hear our technicians and our controllers tell us the challenges they face and having your support as the Secretary. Thank you again, sir.
We're going to take your questions in a second, but maybe I can put it into context, too, for the media. I've been in a number of different TV studios around the country, and you guys have some pretty remarkable equipment that all of you use in local television and national television as well. But oftentimes along the walls at your studios, you have pictures of people who used to work in the building, but also the equipment that you used to use in the building 40 years ago, 30 years ago. And the pictures that you have in your studios from 40 years ago, and how old and comical those pictures might look on the equipment that was used in your studios, that's actually the same equipment that they're using today to keep our skies safe. So to put it into context, again, the upgrades that you see every 5 years, 10 years in studios around America, that hasn't happened for decades up here. And that's unacceptable for the U.S. government. And with that, we're happy to take any questions you may have for us. Yeah.
Secretary Duffy, a new NTSB report came out. We had plane crash here not too long ago with military housing. The lights were out of service at Montgomery Gibbs since 2022. What's the federal government doing to ensure airport projects?
So it's a good point. And as part of the full view of our airspace, it also includes money to make sure that we have state-of-the-art technology and up-to-date technology at our airports across the country.
Why were they still inoperable 3 years later?
It's a good question. And why that wasn't taken care of, I don't know. I will tell you this. Those reports take 2 years. Those lights, the NTSB didn't say was the cause of the crash. Don't even know that they said it was a contributing factor. We're going to get more information on that crash in the coming months and years. But again, we want everyone to, when they fly, get to where they're going without incident and without harm. So what you'll see in San Diego is the investment in the telecommunication, the upgrade from copper to fiber. What you'll see is new radar. And you will get new radios here, and you will get new voice switches. That's part of the $12.5 billion. That's going to happen around the country. And then we need additional money to actually fix the older equipment that you'll see up in the tower. And that's why the Senate's considering giving more money to this effort, and I hope they do, because again, this is a brand new, state-of-the-art system, and it's going to take 3 to 4 years, but we have to get started now, and that's why we need as much money as possible to make this happen. And this, by the way, just real quick, the Senate and the House, the Congress has given tranches of money. And sometimes the money that's promised doesn't come, sometimes it does come. But it's hard for the FAA to plan, and frankly, I don't think the FAA has engaged in the best contracts to get their work done on budget and on time. This is why we're asking for all the money up front, and if not all of it, as much as possible, so we can have one plan that's executed around the country to make sure this is not the American story. So it's tens of billions of dollars. Okay. Now, what someone might say is, oh my gosh, it's a $50 billion bill. It's not. The way your Congress spends money, sometimes they spend it like drunken sailors. I wish they would be drunken sailors on this mission, because it's a very doable project. It doesn't happen overnight, right? It takes time to do builds like this. But I'll just tell you, I mean, in Newark, we had a line that went down. You guys probably reported on that story, because there was an outage twice for 30 seconds each, which by the way is frightening. Now Now, we have redundancies in place, and everyone, kicks into action and feel very safe that we keep planes in the air, but you do not want to see your telecom go down for 30 seconds or your radar go out for 90 seconds, which is what happened. It was in 3 weeks. We worked with Verizon. In 3 weeks, they laid a new fiber line from the Philly Tracon up to Newark at N90. This has never happened for the FAA. We are getting CEO engagement. Everyone who's participating in what we're doing now is at the CEO level because they understand how important this is to America. They all fly, their families fly, their friends fly, and so the engagement that's happening now is way different. And I can't give you the exact time, but I believe that we can do this in the whole thing in 3 to 4 years. So this is not months, it's going to take years, but this can't take a decade. This can't take 6 years. We have to start to move now and move fast. Yes.
This bill allows $1 billion to improving the aviation workforce. Is that enough money to hire and train the necessary 500
So the question here is on our air traffic controllers, and it allows us to go up to 2,500 academy grads at Oklahoma City, which is where our academy is at. The problem is multi-layered, right? We have to get the best students into the academy, and there's been some roadblocks that we've had to work through, which we have to improve the pipeline of young people going to the academy. We're taking the best and brightest, the ones who score the best on the entrance exam. We give them bonuses when they graduate. And if they go to a more difficult to staff facility, we give them a $10,000 bonus. So yeah, that is incredibly helpful. There's other problems than money when it comes to air traffic controllers. What I've done as well is, because our controllers, it's a stressful job, they can retire after 25 years of service. I've offered them a 20% upfront cash bonus to stay on and work, and they'll get that every year that they stay on. And so these are the best controllers that you have, the most experienced controllers. And so how do we incentivize them to stay and help us in this time of need? And you got to pay. And so we're doing that. And we're starting to see some of the results. I don't have all the data for you. We just rolled out that program. But I'm pulling every lever I can to get as many controllers to stay and into the pipeline and certified to make sure we don't have that shortage. The whole, do you have the you don't have the cost on the full upgrade? No. So I guess the full cost for this, again, we have national airspace. We have our numbers of what it's going to cost to do the whole system, right? What do we need for towers? What do we need for TRACONs? What do we need for en route centers, right? To redo them, and all the equipment that will go into them. Listen. Again, you got a hole in the roof. You got shades that don't work. I mean, there's simple things, just the functionality of a building in Southern California on top of all of the old equipment. So it's going to take millions of dollars to upgrade this facility and make it operational. Come back to you, yeah.
It sounds like you read the NTSB's preliminary report about that emergency crash about a month ago. Based on that report, do you anticipate that these improvements from the bill could have prevented the plane crash?
So I believe that was an uncontrolled airspace, Frank. Is that right? I'll let Frank take that one.
Can you said the one from a month ago? Is that right?
About a month ago, where Buchanan, thing crashed and killed 6 people. Do you believe that some of these improvements could have prevented that crash?
Out of respect for the family, I don't like to comment when there's an active NTSB investigation going on. We are always active partners with the NTSB, but I will answer your question with, anytime I can get better equipment in the hands of a controller that are making decisions in split seconds, we're always improved, not just for efficiency, but also when it comes time to making safety decisions. To say that this would have prevented a crash, that is really hard to say in the middle of an NTSB investigation, but we never rule out in ensuring that we have better situational awareness for the controllers and we have better equipment for them to make those decisions, and like I said, in those multi-second spans. A controller will make 1,000 decisions a day. The better equipment they have, the better situational awareness they have, the better the output is. So we always look for those enhancements and those improvements in our system. Thank you.
Secretary Duffy, I know you're meeting with LA 28, which is why you're on the ground in
I am.
California. Is there concern within the Trump administration about dealing with change given the LA fires and now LA protests? Are there concerns?
Protests can happen and fires can happen. That's less of the concern. Our concern is how your leaders respond to crises. How do they respond to the riots? And I think there's real concern about the leadership of your governor and the mayor, Mayor Bass. And again, I don't think this is a shining moment in leadership in America for what's happened in LA. And so does that give us pause? Absolutely it does. And again, you will find no better partner than President Trump. He's excited about the World Cup coming to America. He's excited about the Olympics. He'll talk about it publicly, but I hear him talk about it privately as well. And we have a big role in transportation to make sure that goes off seamlessly. We are highlighting and showcasing our country. And what we see in LA, and with the leadership that we've seen from the state and of LA, it gives me pause. What kind of showcase are we going to have when this is the kind of leadership that has been exhibited right to your north? Back here.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about the permitting challenges that you're upgrading the aircraft?
Yeah, so we have to deal with NEPA, right? And NEPA's NEPA, right? But when you have a project of this national importance, this can't come up in the big, beautiful bill, but if there's a supplemental bill that comes, I'm going to ask the Congress to waive NEPA requirements. So whether we're doing construction on a tower, a TRACON, or an en route center, or if we're laying fiber as opposed to copper, that we get some grace here. We don't want to have to spend, an additional year and a half going through a NEPA process when we have, towers that are here already. We have en route centers and TRACONs that are already there, and we already have, copper wire in the ground. Let us lay the fiber and let us not go through the NEPA process. The Congress can do that for us. And by the way, sometimes you might think that's a partisan issue. I don't think it is. It's bipartisan. Democrats and Republicans alike see the need, and I think they would there'd be pretty significant agreement. And by the way, if there's an environmental issue that we all have to consider, we're going to take that up. Like no one wants to do anything that has long-term damage to the environment, but I would see this more as it's going to slow us down and not add any benefit to the environment. And again, I care about. Love animals, love the wildlife, love plants and trees, but I also love your families and your communities, and I want them to fly safe, and that means let's get this operation running as quickly as possible. We'll do a couple more. Yep.
Secretary, going back to that crash that was found in Mercer Canyon, is the FAA considering adding flight restrictions for the time of day or bad weather conditions or situations like that, especially when critical equipment, in that case the lighting, are out of service?
So again, I don't want you to jump to conclusions from the NTSB. They haven't given us a cause and contributing factors yet to the crash, and we work closely with the chair, Chair Hamidi. She's a great partner of ours, and this goes for across the national airspace and for aircraft. We wait for these investigations to be done, number one. But number two, in the course of an investigation, before a final report comes out, if there is a concern for safety, we work with the NTSB and we will take immediate action. So you would see us come out before, if we have critical issues in the airspace that can affect safety, we will make decisions and changes that are necessary to protect people. And that recommendation has not been made from the NTSB, as well as in regard to Air India. I'll do one more. You had a question?
How will investments in California airports be guaranteed in this bill?
So listen, it's the national airspace. So what we're doing is we're going to invest across the country in airports, TRACONs, and en route centers. In, again, all the things I've mentioned, software and hardware and telecom throughout the system is what we're going to invest in. I would say, just on another note, there's some issues we have. We partner with states and cities in the investments that we make. The federal government does that. I would be hard pressed to say if we have the lack of leadership that we saw in the LA riots, and then if LA or the state comes in and says we want the federal government to repair the roads that were damaged in those riots when they weren't taking appropriate action to stop the riots, I'm hard pressed to see how we're going to actually come to some agreement on that. It's everyone's duty to protect their infrastructure and protect people. And again, I support people's right to protest, to go out there and have your voices heard. You should do that. But when it turns to violence and we're using bricks and Molotov cocktails and we're damaging police vehicles and hurting law enforcement officers and we're destroying roads, that's unacceptable. And where is the leadership? I would love to have Gavin Newsom say, you know what? I want more National Guard. I want more Marines in my community because this is unacceptable. But instead of that, he's saying, I want less. Send them home. I can't wrap my head around how that is keeping people safe, officers safe, and your infrastructure intact. And so I know the president is following and watching this closely, and we'll continue to communicate and have conversations with him. No more questions, but I'll tell you one more thing. With regard to the California high-speed rail, you might have seen our press releases on California high-speed rail. Again, I would love to see high-speed rail in America. I'm not opposed to high-speed rail. I think we should invest in high-speed rail. You go to Europe, you go to Japan, you go to China, high-speed rail everywhere. So the one shining example of high-speed rail was going to be LA to San Francisco. A decade and a half for $33 billion? And what happens? You're, 15 plus years in and $16 billion in, and there's no tracks laid, and it's not going to go from LA to San Francisco? Again, it's my job to make sure we're looking at how federal tax dollars are paid and how they're deployed. And if you can't build what you've promised, well, why do we keep funding that? It doesn't make sense. Again, I would love to keep the funding going, but as of now, projections would show that high-speed rail would cost $133 billion, and they can't give us a time frame on when it would be done. So is it 15, 20 years? I mean, why do we invest in black holes? Aren't there other projects that we should invest in this country where we're actually going to see the results of those investments? And so those are the things that we think about. I want to make good investments in good communities and with good leadership. And can that be in every community in every state around the country? Of course it can. But when you show poor leadership, that gives us pause because you're not protecting the people and the infrastructure that we're responsible for when you don't respond to crises. With that, listen, thank you all for coming out. We appreciate it.